So, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate your time. I would love to hear about you and what you have going on, what you're doing, how you're helping humanity.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I really appreciate to share a little bit about what I'm doing. So also what my story was, because I really feel that I have this mission for helping humanity to create a wonderful future, not only for humanity, but also for this earth. And this is really that something that drives me since I'm 8 years old. And I had my near-death experience when I was 8 years old. And this was a moment when I came in contact first with spirituality, and now seeing all my journey being in science, being in personal development, and again back in spiritual growth, it's kind of the having the circle closed. And yeah, this is what I'm doing. So I'm helping people really to uh, come into their own purpose, live a life in abundance, and use their own gifts for creating a better future for humanity and the earth.
Wow, so you're connecting people with their gifts and their purpose, which is everything that we need, right? Because all we really need is to really deeply connect to ourselves. Hold on, I must drag that over. Sorry. Um, so, what is your so you said you had a near death experience when you were 8 years old and that connected you to spirituality. And like briefly, like what was that experience like?
Yeah, so it was a moment I was in coma, and I was only 8 years old, and I saw myself lying in hospital on a doctor's bed, and they stick a long needle into my spinal cord to take out some liquor, and I smelled this smell of disinfection of the hospital, and I saw myself from above. Like I really could see myself lying there, and also seeing my parents outside. They were not in the same room as me, and it was this feeling of peace and light. And I really felt like I was uh, pulled away into the light, and the next moment I was pushed back into my body. And I woke up from my own screening because of this horrible pain, having the needle inside of my spinal cord. And the next moment I was back in coma. And this happened for me for many, many years, that I was fainting away, that I was in coma, sometimes for only a short moment, like for minutes, but also like in that time for 2 days. And it brought me in contact with the question really early: who am I? Like understanding there's on the one hand me in this bio body, but then there's also the spirit that has this connection to the higher realms. And I already created these gifts, or got these gifts, being recognitive and clairvoyant. So I was able to look beyond. And for me, this was kind of, yeah, normal, but at the same time scaring, because the other children were different. And I could feel that I got information that the others don't have. But for me, it was normal somehow. So I spent a lot of time in the library reading about life. I was very interested also in the Egypt time. And so this was kind of strange for some other children, but for me, it was like, okay, there's something beyond what others can see, but it's for me, somehow I need to figure out what it is.
Wow, that's awesome. Um, so I guess it's safe to say that you felt like an old soul even at a young age because of all of those experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. And only not many, many years later, I was able to figure out about these lifetimes I had before. So when I came back into spirituality, and that was about 6 years ago, when my soul dog died. And that was a moment when I was overwhelmed again with all my abilities, with these gifts. And I was able to read the Akashic records. I was able to do remote viewing, and participated also in some studies to really understand, okay, either I'm now going totally crazy because it was so overwhelming. And yeah, I could call the guys with these tight white jackets, or I really needed to figure out what it is all about. And so I really went deep into learning about past life experiences and how they still impact the present time, how these old souls have like instant knowledge or this wisdom that they can't even explain why it is there, but they don't have to learn about that. They get some triggers and they can download this kind of information because it's still in our soul. So the past life experiences they had, they were kind of a journey to prepare us for this time now and to really step into our gifts and bring them out, use them for creating the new future and really understanding about our soul path.
Wow. So, where do you do this work?
I'm living in kind of paradise. I'm in Madeira. This is a tiny island in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean belonging to Portugal. I'm born in Germany, but when I was close to burnout some years ago, I decided I need to leave Germany and come to a place that is an energetically place for myself. And as Madeira is a volcanoes island, we have all the elements here. So we have the element of fire because of this volcanoes. We have the oceans, we have water, we have the air, and we have the soil. And so this place has a special energy. And for me, it is very supporting. So either I work here in Madeira, people can come to me for having their VIP coaching, or I also work online. So people can join me on Zoom and have the coaching online.
Okay. Um, so you're living in paradise. How lucky are you? So, um, can you share with me about your background? I think you have the combination of science and medicine and the woo woo and all that stuff. So, how did all of that come together for you?
Yeah, so for me, it feels now like I'm uh, no, how can I say it? Sorry. At the moment, I really feel that I closed the circle. So I started as a child with the spirituality, and then because of what happened with me, all the experiences in hospital, I got interested in medicine. So I started my education in medicine. And then after a while, I felt, okay, there's something else coming up. I studied chemical environmental technology. So I'm an engineer. And only by that time, I figured out, okay, what happened to me as a child was that I was poisoned by toxified by poisons. So this is, at that time, it was kind of normal that people painted their wooden ceilings in the houses or any kind of wood inside the houses with a certain kind of paint that included toxins. And the idea was that this will help that insects will not destroy this wood. But of course, this was the ceiling in my child's room. What will kill insects also will kill little children, as these were neurotoxins. And I understood, okay, so what all the time happened to me was, I was toxified by these pesticides. And it took me a while to bring them out of my body and really to become healthy again. And I had an agency with my partner together, and we worked for people that had also problems with their health, and to figure out if there is a reason or a source inside of the house. So it was a combination of us as the engineers working together with environmental doctors. And so we helped a lot of people to analyze what is in the houses, but also to bring in natural material and to bring out all what is poisoning them. But having this agency together, we also had our relationship together. So he was also my romantic partner. And after a time, he got cancer. And so we went really through a hard time with all the treatments he had to go through. And yeah, it was not, we were not strong enough to hold our agency, and we were not strong enough to hold our relationship. So we split up after he was healthy again. And I took my 2 cats, I took my computer and some luggage, and yeah, left the house, left the relationship, left our business, also left most of our friends, and restarted my life. And I went into a business consultancy and worked as a coach and consultant in personal development and organizational transformation. So for me, this was a moment also to go deeper into understanding humans' mind, to understand more about their behavior, about their beliefs, and all these kind of things that triggers them. And doing this coachings during that time, also am now, of course, a certified business coach, brought me deeper into understanding of humanity. And so then again, after a while, I was very close to a burnout. I worked a lot, and I had kind of, my life was in planes and trains and hotels, working in rooms where you couldn't open the windows and had this neon light and air condition. And for me, this was really hard because I'm a projector in the human design, and this is not the way I can work for a long time, but I did it for a long time. So I was very close to a burnout, and I really had the feeling I need to change something. And then it happened that my dog died, and she was with me for a long time, for 16 years. And we really had a very intense relationship. And she was with me going with the horses. We did dog dancing, and she also supported me in animal assisted therapy with children. So this was a moment when she died that, again, I felt like, okay, I need to change something. And I came here to Madeira just for some holidays, and I really fell in love with this island at first sight, and had this feeling, well, I really want to stay here. Why did I buy a ticket back? And at that time I couldn't go, or I had the feeling that I couldn't go. But then my mother died, and for me this was a moment, okay, now I feel that I'm free. And at that time I had another business with employees. I had a little consultancy, and so I closed my business. I sold my horses, I sold my house, I sold my car, everything. Again, I packed my cats, my laptop, a suitcase, and decided that I'm now going to Madeira and will live here. And so this is now more than 4 years ago, and it's still the right decision. I'm in a totally different energy now. I'm back into my own power, and I really feel that I now can contribute also in the spiritual way for the people. So it's like the full circle. It's connecting science with the woo-woo world, understanding about medicine, environmental things, about humanity, and about spirit.
Wow. So how did you pick Madeira? Like, was it some astrocartography? Like, did you look for your ley lines, or how did you find it? Your paradise.
I think Madeira found me,
Oh.
because I had this idea, I need to go to a place where it is warm and I need water. I really want to swim in the ocean. And when I made the decision to come here, it was January. In Germany, it was minus 15 degrees. And going into the plane, very cold and like snow, and coming out of the plane here, plus 26 degrees, sunlight, blue sky. The island is full of abundance. It's known as the island of the flowers. So when I look outside, I see banana trees, I see orange trees, I see the ocean. And it is really a very special island. And it was an offer from a travel agency that showed up, and I said, okay, let's try this one. And so I would say it was synchronicity. I was clear that I need to go to a certain place to bring back energy into my body, to feel this abundance, to have the possibility to go into the ocean, even in January. And so Madeira showed up.
Oh, that's awesome. I love when things happen like that. All right, so let's talk about your work. And your work, you talk about how you help people break through their upper limit. So, what are upper limit problems?
People often see that they can reach a certain amount of abundance in the financial situation, for example. For them, it is easy to make 5 figures, but as soon as they want to come into 6 figures, something happens. Or if they want to come from 6 to 7 figures, something happens. Like it is like there's an invisible glass ceiling. They're bouncing again and bouncing down or bouncing back. And they have no idea what it is. So it could happen that they are very successful in their business, but then they will lose their job, or the car will be broken, or the washing machine, and whatever at the same time. So they're losing their money, or they have invested in something and they will lose their money. So they're going in kind of loops or in circles, like going up to a certain level, and then they bounce against this invisible glass ceiling and go down again. And this can also be in relationships. They have intense relationships, they're coming close to a marriage, but then they will split up. And there's not, they can't understand why this is happening again and again and again. So you can see a certain kind of pattern in life. And it comes from that they often have blocking beliefs about themselves in this lifetime. So this can come from own experiences they had, for example, in their childhood, parents telling them, you will never be loved, or you will never make it, or you're not enough for being successful. Or they could have seen this in their ancestral line as well. Like they've seen their father failing in his job, and took it over as a belief, okay, our family can't be successful. Even they never had this own experience by themselves, but this is in the family pattern. Or it can also be that it is in their Akashic records, so in one of their past lives, that they, for example, gave a vow that they will never love anybody. So they cannot come into a deep relationship because they block themselves for forever. So every time you give someone a vow, I will do this forever, there is no time limit in. So it can still prolong in other lifetimes. So there are different reasons why this happens. And what I do is I figure out by, of course, using tools like NLP or my clairvoyance to understand where is the source of the problem, that they go to a certain amount of abundance or intensity, and then they bounce back. And of course, if we figure out what it is, we're going to clear this as well.
Wow. That's like some next level woo woo right there. So, all right, so we make vows, or we have the possibility to have made vows in past lives or consciousness, and that stuff will carry on for lifetimes because there is no limit if we say this will always be. That's crazy. So, what is emotional trauma? How does emotional trauma play into us not reaching our full potential?
Often we have experiences that go really deep. So we feel like we don't have control about our life anymore. So for me, it was, for example, when I was a child, I had the feeling I can't control my life. And I was scared, I was frightened, and this was a very deep emotional trauma. And with that came, for example, that I thought about life in general, that I can't control life. And I felt like life is happening to me. Yeah, I'm the prisoner of my life. I have no control over life. But understanding, okay, this was because of the experience I had. And then the interpretation of, these deep emotions and this trauma that I can't control life. This is not true. And I had to overcome these emotions that were trapped in my body as true and clear them out so that now I can I can create my life. I know what I can do to manifest certain things. So emotional traumas are always situations that have that are very intense, that go together with emotions that let you feel out of control. Like if you are very scared, if you are in anxiety, if you are in shock, if you are even in feeling a lot of shame. These are emotions with a very low frequency, and they will stay in your body. And if you feel them again and again and again, they kind of create clusters in your body. And you can see, so for example, people that are often very angry, they will have problems, for example, with their stomach. You can see this in their face. They will have the wrinkles like here in between the eyes. So you can see in the body shape what kind of emotions they felt for a long time. And if you don't release them, they will always influence your decisions. They will influence about how you interpret situations. So it is very necessary to get clarity about what are the main emotions that are trapped in your body. And then if you want to change your life, of course, bring them out, clear them out.
Wow. So those emotional traumas can stop us from living the life that we want, and they can be healed by just removing them, identifying them and removing them from our energetic body, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if you are aware that your life goes through certain kind of pattern, and you understand what kind of experiences are connected to that, and you understand what kind of emotions have been during these experiences, we can change them. So it's energetic work I'm doing to release these trapped emotions out of the body. I'm working with emotion code, and this is very powerful because you only need some sessions and you can really feel the difference.
Wow. So in your work, you also talk about hidden triggers and getting past self sabotage. How do you work with that?
So often we are not aware what is triggering us for a certain reaction. So you can see that we all have our situations that appear in our life. We have the experiences. But it makes a difference if you react automatically on these situations, or you are aware of that there are triggers in these situations that are mostly hidden. But if you bring them to awareness, you can stop the automatically reaction on that. So, for example, if someone tells you what you're doing is always wrong, if you know that this is the kind of experience you had before again and again, and you stop the automatic reaction that you perhaps get angry, but you say, okay, now I know this is a trigger for me because this comes from experiences I had with my parents, for example. Now I choose to stop at the first moment, go into a meta position and see how I can react on this kind of situation. So, for example, I use a consulting team, which is like Pippi Langstrumpf, Gandalf, and different other types I use that would react on this kind of situation differently. So I'm going into a meta position and ask, for example, Pippi Langstrumpf, how would you react on this kind of situation? And she would say, I make the life like I want to create my life. Gandalf would say, very wise, this has nothing to do with you. This is an old trigger that is coming up. And because you had these experiences, now look, who are you now? You are not the little child anymore that needs to react in this certain way. And he would give me another advice. And so I have my spiritual consulting team asking different personality types, how would you react on that? And then I can stop that this situation is still a hidden trigger because it becomes an obvious trigger. And I can choose how I react on that. So I can choose, okay, if someone tells me something about that, perhaps he is jealous about what I already created. Or perhaps he has some his own problems with this topic, and it's something that I was triggering at him. Or perhaps I'm totally grown out of that. It is not even a trigger anymore. So this is how, it is a way how I work with that.
Cool. So all of the work with the hidden triggers and the emotional trauma, is all of that done in the Akashic Records, or is working with the Akashic Records something separate that you do to assist your clients? And what are the Akashic Records? I know what they are, but I think other people would want to hear it from you too. So,
Okay, so I start with a second question, answer this first. So
okay.
the Akashic Records are kind of your soul. So every
I'm
time
sorry.
you,
I'm sorry. My video cut out. Could you start over with what the Akashic Records are? It froze.
so the Akashic Records are the library of your soul. This means that every time you are incarnated, like being in a body, like this time, you make experiences. And this is kind of writing your story into a book that is part of this living library, these Akashic Records. And every time you are discarnated, you're just the soul. And being incarnated means like all these stories, all these lives that your soul has been incarnated, make the whole story of you. And we can enter the Akashic Records with a certain process. And for me, it looks like I can see pictures, or I can see little movies from past lives, but I also get instant knowledge about this lifetime. And I can see how these past lives influence the present time. And I can give you an example. I had a client, she was a consultant, or still is a consultant, and she had problems to speak on stage. It was no problem speaking with her own clients or presenting something, sitting at a table, even standing in front of the table. But as soon as she had to step up on a stage, it was like her mind was going blank. She couldn't sometimes even remember her own name. And we worked together, and of course we started in this present time and figured out, okay, there were situations that she had during school. She had to go to the board and do some calculation and couldn't do that and was bullied. And so we cleared this. Then it was another situation during Christmas time that she had to speak a poem in front of the family and was struggling. So again, she felt very uncomfortable speaking in front of family. So we cleared that. And then we figured out, okay, there was also something in her ancestral line coming from her mother, who was always kind of scared to really show up and speak out her truth because she was suppressed with speaking out. So, but still we figured out after all this releasing this emotions that were connected with that, it was not really a huge change. And so we thought about, yeah, okay, feeling more comfortable on stage, doing some kind of storytelling or how to behave on stage. It became not really good. And so I said one day, so we really have to step into the Akashic Records and figure out what's going on there. And as soon as I opened her Akashic Records, it was like, wow, I saw her standing on a wooden stage And in front of her, people were clapping hands and laughing and shouting, yeah, go on. And she had a cord around her neck. And the next moment she was hung. And for her, it was like, every time I'm on stage, I will be murdered. Stage equals death. So for her, of course, she couldn't go up on a stage because it was so frightening. And it was the resonance that came out of her Akashic records in the present time. So also we cleared this connection, reframed it, and now she is able to speak on stage. Yeah, so the source of the problem was not in this lifetime, it was in a past lifetime, but had such a strong influence that speaking on stage equals death. For her, of course, was impossible to go on a stage and speak there. And now she's bringing out her own message about soulmates and relationships. So yeah, it is important that we clear this out so that you can speak out with your truth, with what you really have inside of you that you need to bring out to the world to change it, for the better.
Wow. It's amazing to hear that story because we understand that our soul remembers because our soul lives on from lifetime to lifetime. But to hear a story that is so poignant, it's eye opening that something that's seemingly so simple can have a root in our past life or one of our many past lives. That's amazing. So the work that you do is online and in person on the island of paradise where you are. And so, how do we find you? Where are you located online?
So you can find me, of course, with my website, and also on, I think, most of the social media, you can find me with my name.
Okay, awesome. So, I'll have that in the show notes for sure. Is there anything else that you'd like to share?
Yeah, so if people are interested to understand a little bit more about their own mission, their own vision, I have a free giveaway. And this is a 6-step meditation to clarify your vision, and very helpful because you understand then after that why you are here, what is this that you really want to create here. And I would like to give this as well to your audience and share this link.
Wow. Okay. I think I want the link too. That sounds awesome. Well, your work is so necessary and it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I really enjoyed the talk. I hope that it wasn't too woo-woo for everybody, but that was that was awesome starting with a near death experience at 8 years old and then growing into this business on an island of paradise. That's just amazing. So, what type of clients do you usually work with?
So my clients are normally already open-minded, which means that if you are still totally in this 3D world, for you perhaps this would be a little bit woo-woo, but of course, if you are open-minded and try also to go on your own journey and really figure out what is your purpose, why are you here? You are the right person for me. And if you want to create out of that a business and understand really what is the mission you want to create as a humanity plus business, you are the right person for me.
Awesome. And so, is business coaching a part of this coaching, or is it a separate consulting that you do?
It goes all together. I don't see that there is, on the one hand, business and then there is life, because we are one person. And of course, if you look into the wheel of life, there is business, there is finance, there is health, there is our own personal development, there are our relationships. And of course, we can focus more on a business topic, but we can also more focus on your topic about your own personal awakening, for example. Often what I see now is that people who have been in the corporate world for a long time, get their calling and feel, okay, no, I made my money. This is not the problem. But with what I made my money is not what is driving me forward anymore. This is not worth going out of bed in the morning. And they get this trigger, there must be something else. And with all the knowledge they already have because of the work in corporate, they want to create now something different. They want to create a humanity plus business where they are the entrepreneurs, where they really can create what they want to create. So I don't see that this is really separate, like there is only the business world and then there is like the lifestyle or life work. So
Okay. Wow. I agree too. I think we're holistic. We're all just one, and we just have different aspects of us. I um I really enjoyed talking about that. I think that your work is awesome. Your gifts are amazing. And thank you, and I honor you for stepping into it and just being there for us because we are going through such a great awakening on Gaia, and we need people like you. And so I'm so happy that we met and I was able to bring you on and just have this conversation with you and maybe work together in the future. You're a projector, and I'm definitely looking for a projector to add to my team to help me get where I need to go. So that is beautiful. um, well, great. Well, thank you so much, Swanette. I really appreciate it, and I guess we'll talk soon.
it was a pleasure for me being your guest. Thank you so much.
Awesome.